Welcome to my short 5 minutes or less review of Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. Just as a quick note, I'm basing this review solely on my experience with the Prince of Persia HD collection, so I will cite any problems from that version undoubtedly. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time is a 3D action-adventure puzzle platformer created by Ubisoft Montreal. The development of this game started in the early 2000s after Ubisoft acquired the licensing rights for the Prince of Persia franchise. The goal of this game was to create 4 unique elements that grew over time, which included acrobatics, combat, and the ability to rewind time and the unity of time and place. Let's talk about the gameplay portion of Sands of Time. You obviously control the prince for the entire period of the game, which progresses with sand demons, boss fights, and elaborate traps standing in your way to victory. The way to overcome these insurmountable odds factors into the development and the elements crafted within to give you an advantage. While the prince is very agile, you have to be precise with the puzzle platforming when it comes into play. One wrong move will just pile on the frustration, as a mistimed jump or being sandwiched in the middle of a sword trap will lead to certain death. Luckily, the Dagger of Time helps undo the damage by rewinding time to a point before you get killed as a way to undo the previous mishap. Be forewarned though, you only have a limited selection of this power up via sand clouds, so use it wisely. The combat is certainly enjoyable, however once you figure out the wall attack exploit, then eventually the combat becomes a breeze as the wall attack automatically downs an enemy. You can also use the Dagger of Time to slow down enemy movement, which is a nice touch when you have groups of enemies that pile up and things start to get a little hot to handle. Farah follows you for most of this journey, so you have to keep an eye out for your partner in crime because she can also get in danger just as easily as you can. The puzzles themselves are particularly joyous to figure out. I wasn't too stumped for anything too long, but it's certainly not easy to figure out. But one thing that might grate on your nerves is how few and far between the checkpoints are when you actually die. Going for the Game Master trophy can be challenging, especially when it comes to the dedication that needs to apply to it in order to not rewind time more than 20 times. The graphics for its time was serviceable, yet the environments are a bit vast for a platformer of this magnitude. The levels are intricately designed with almost every nook and cranny as an important factor to avoid traps, climb on material, and swing across to avoid hazards from every area, and the secret whereabouts are awe-inspiring to look at or cleverly hidden. India looks incredible, and the design team at Ubisoft deserves every bit of credit for the hard work they put into the animations that looks really good when the prince is scaling something or clambering about. It's just very magnificent, and the final tower is a pure example of this. What you need to do to get at the top of the tower is something amazing about that level of detail as a multi-layered level where it's just not from point A to point B. You have to go from point A to point B to point C to point D. You have to do a lot of things to really prevail in this one level, and there's a lot of words you can call it, but I call it beautiful. The HD port cleans up a lot of the graphics and textures to make them look sharper, more detailed, and pop out, but if there is a lingering negative, it certainly will be the audio design in this package. For some reason, the characters in the HD version of Prince of Persia: Sands of Time speak at a painstakingly low volume when it comes to cutscenes. I had to boost my sound setup because I couldn't comprehend the thing that was going on during cutscenes because the audio was so low. If you want to do yourself a favor, then play the original Prince of Persia: Sands of Time to immerse yourself a little bit more in the story, just a little bit better, because you'll be able to hear the cutscenes more naturally. I will say the story is basic but smart, and it has smart characterization. It isn't too convoluted with the first entry as you would naturally expect with something involving time manipulation, because sometimes time travel stories or time manipulation would be a chore to follow, and this is not the case here. The prince is simply tricked by an aging visitor of a local area in India, and he decides to take his father's men to attack a palace as a part of a devious plot from the visitor to prevent his own death. In the process, the prince takes off with a relic known as the Dagger of Time. The visitor tricks the prince even more into releasing the Sands of Time, which causes chaos as people turn into sand creatures that are created from the inhabitants. Now it's up to the prince to undo his mistake with releasing the Sands of Time alongside Farah following him for this journey. The plot is basic, but it screams adventure. It has a sensible wit and some likable characters into the mix, and you'll want to see where this one goes right from beginning to end. Despite some weird sound issues and some easy combat, this game was still a blast to play. I give Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time a B-.